Hello again. There were a couple of things that I somehow didn't get to it in the previous video that I just made tonight for you, and perhaps I can cover it before I call it a day and get that over with. Maybe that'll help you out too. Look, we talked about the fact that when when the relationship is broken up, we always blame ourselves and so on and so forth, and that we talked about that's because we always think somebody else is more important than us. And in the case of the girlfriend, of course, within the girlfriend is whatever she says is more important than what we say. And if we're broken up, then that means something wrong with us, which we talked about it in the other video, which is nonsense, of course. But we also been brainwashed to take our cues about who we are, what we are, if we are in the right or not, from somebody out there, somebody else. So that's why we automatically give the kind of a benefit of the doubt to them, and we kind of focus on ourselves and kind of feel like, oh, there's something wrong with us, regardless of how wonderful we might have been. And that's because we've been conditioned through childhood to think that way. Also, it's because relationships are not really between the whole of people. It is between the images, the image that she has for herself in her mind, and the image that she has of you in her mind, and the image that you have of her in your mind, and the image that you have of you in your mind. So in other words, it's all about, the relationship is all about the relationship between the images. They're illusory images, but you don't understand that what you're really judging yourself against her, or judging her, or seeing in her, seeing about her, what you see of her, it's all the image that you have of her in your mind. And what she sees in you is the image that she has of you in her mind. And so the image that you have in your mind about yourself and the image that she has of you in her mind always are in conflict, division. She doesn't see you, and you wonder why she doesn't see you the way you have you in your mind, the way you are. And she wonders why you don't see her, and why is it that what you see in her is different than what she sees in herself. Because again, the relationship is not based on the whole of you, the actuality of you and her. It's between the images that you each have of each other in your mind, and the images that you each have of yourselves in your mind. And therefore, there's always a doubt in your mind, because you really have never connected with the whole of her, with her center, with her reality. You've always been having a relationship between what you think of yourself and what you think of her, the two images. And that's why you have limited information about her, and that's why the relationship is always full of conflicts, because you really don't know her and she really doesn't know you. It's just the two images interacting. And of course, when things go wrong, you're always thinking, why was there so much difference between what she thought of herself and what you thought of her? And were you right, or was she right? Because you weren't really having a relationship with each other, with each other's actuality. And that's why you always have all these divisions and differences, so much differences, more than what you can think. So you have no really reason of any kind to blame yourself, because what you really think of her is illusory in your mind. It's totally different. She's a totally different person that you really never knew. I know it's a little bit heavy, but that's the way it is. Because she only lets you know about what she thinks of herself in her mind as an image. She presents that to you, and what you see of her is an image that she has presented to you. And then between the image that she has presented to you and the image that you have made of her in your mind, there's always going to be incompatibility. And you cannot really understand why things don't work out because you really don't know about each other that well, because you never really dealt with each other's actuality. And so that's why when it breaks up, you can't understand. Why did it break up? I thought of her this way. Wasn't she that way? Why did she switch? Because she changed because you really didn't know who she was. You knew the image that she allowed you, portrayed herself, projected herself with that image to you, and then of course the next day or next month, according to her needs or her character, she chooses a different image of herself to represent herself to you. And on that basis, you see things are not stable, oscillating. It's no certainty, no psychological security, because she's always trying to better herself by the images that she projects to you of herself. And you may always wonder, why are things changing? And perhaps in same way, the other way around. So if you get into it a little bit heavy and examining it, you really understand that you really don't know the person. That's why relationships have a big chance to not work out. And when they don't work out, don't be surprised. It's normal until you finally find someone that what she projects to you as her image to you is pretty close to her actuality. And what you end up getting from her in your mind, the image that you project in your mind of her, would be pretty close based on what she really has projected to you, which would be close to her actuality, and the vice versa. And then that relationship would have a much better chance to work. I hope I didn't confuse you too much, but that is something to ponder, whether you understand it or not. But that's what it is. All our relationships with each other is mostly on the image that we think of them, we have of them in our mind, and we present ourselves with the image that we have ourselves in our own mind, and they see us according to the image that we project, and we see them according to the image that they project, and what they think of themselves in their mind, and what we think of them in our mind, and what we think of ourselves in our mind with what they think of us in their mind is all different. Okay, before we all fall asleep on this mind, that mind, so forth, have a nice evening. Think about it. It's an interesting subject to think about, but it's true.